I write a lot of poems about flying and airports. I don't know why. I don't think I fly any more than anybody else. I just think there's, there's still something strange about the whole business. Railway stations have found their place in literature. We know what they signify, but even though we're really familiar with the grammar and the narrative of the airport, I think there's still something other about it that we haven't really quite, properly understood. And I think this poem comes out of that sense of dislocation. And also, I'm probably thinking about the first time that I ever went on a flight. It was a flight out of Manchester Airport. And it was the day after that big fire on a plane there, so everybody was incredibly nervous. And we got on the plane, and we were sat on the runway for quite a long time. And then the pilot came on the PA system and said, "Oh, we can't set off yet. There's a technical problem." So they reopened the door of the plane, and this guy got on in a high-vis jacket, carrying with him the biggest hammer you've ever seen. It was like a lump hammer. And he went into the cockpit, and there was all this banging. And then he got off, and then the captain said, "Oh, it's fixed." I don't know what that is in avionics that requires that kind of touch, but I have to say it unnerved me. I think something else that's going on in this poem is that, it seems odd to say this because it's not that long ago, but I was thinking about that time when aeroplanes, before they had a locked door at the front, they used to have a curtain, and when the plane banked, the curtain would swish to one side, and you could see into the cabin. I didn't like that because I always thought that. If you went into the cabin, it wouldn't be, into the cockpit, it wouldn't be dials and discs and knobs and levers, it would just be weird things that you shouldn't meddle with. Like if you went, it'd just be like a candle burning or something. An albino leopard. Priest with a bag over his head. That's what keeps the plane up. So this poem's called Aviators. They'd overbooked the plane. At this moment in time, announced the agent at the counter, Rainbow Airlines is offering £100 or a free return flight to any passenger willing to stand down. A small man in a cheap suit and Bart Simpson socks scratched his ankle. £150, she announced 15 minutes later. Nobody moved. 200? From nowhere, this neat-looking chap in a blue flannel jacket and shiny shoes loomed over the desk and said, "I'll take the money." "But you're the pilot," she said. Then added, "Sir," as if she'd walked into a Japanese house and forgotten to take off her shoes. The pilot whispered, "Listen, I need that money. I'm behind on my mortgage because my wife's a gambler. I've got 2 sons at Naval College, the hats alone cost a small fortune, and I'm being blackmailed by a pimp in Stockport. Let me take the 200, you'd be saving my life." I'd been sitting within earshot next to the stand-up ashtray. "Give him the money," I said. "Who are you?" asked Dorothy. She was wearing a plastic name badge with gold letters. "Dorothy, I'm George," I said, "and clearly this man's in pain. I don't want him going all gooey midway over the English Channel. I once heard sobbing coming from the cabin of a jumbo jet at 33,000 feet, and it sounded like the laughter of Beelzebub." "But who will fly the plane?" she wanted to know. "Why, me, of course." I opened my mouth so she could see how good my teeth were, like pilot's teeth. "Do you have a license?" she asked. I said, "Details, always details." Dorothy, it's time to let go a little, to trust in the unexplained, time to open your mind to the infinite. By now, my hand was resting on hers, and a small crowd of passengers had gathered around, nodding and patting me on the back. "Good for you, George," said a backpacker with a leather shoelace knotted around his wrist. It was biblical, or like the end of a family film during the time of innocence. I said, "Dorothy, give me the keys to the cockpit and let's get this baby in the air."